I just wanted to take a minute, and for those that haven't went back and they don't understand iridology, and this was a little science that was discovered by a surgeon, mainly European started. I think Poland is the country that originated with iridology. Definitely Germany took off with this way back in the mid-1800s. And when physicians knew, now this was a surgeon that discovered this, and when physicians knew, mainly homeopathists, knew the extent of what this showed us in the body, it just took off. So it's been European for many, many years, well, since the early 1850s. And then Jensen, of course, came along here in this country, and it went through a lot of famous practitioners in Europe, and then Jensen got a hold of this way back in the 20s and 30s and just really refined it, in my opinion. And him and I carry the same opinion about iridology. There's two classic thoughts, you could say, Dr. Jensen's basically, and German iridology. And German iridology, I think, is the lesser of the two, in understanding fundamentally the body and what the eye really represents. So let's think about this science in the course of physics, because it's important to understand why in the world would you look at an eye and see all the cells in the human body. So how does that work? How voodoo or whatever people say, God, but it's simple to understand. In the human body, you have a communication network that's par none. I mean, this thing is unbelievable, and we call it the autonomic and central nervous systems. Hard drive, and then you have the autonomic nervous system, which has two sides to it, sympathetic, parasympathetic. If you want to move, breathe, heart pump, walk, run, you need the autonomic. Parasympathetic, push-pull. And so it's vital. Parasympathetic comes in the back of the skull here, and the cerebellum goes right to the stomach, but then wraps around to the autonomic nerves and also into the brain. So you have a communication network that when you see something, not only does the central nervous system register that, but communicates with the cells, and it's like a flight or fight type of syndrome where it sends a signal through the autonomic. The other side of the autonomic, the sympathetic, is tied right into the adrenal glands where your neurotransmitters are produced. And two neurotransmitters that are well known is epinephrine and norepinephrine. And norepinephrine and epinephrine are your adrenalins. And so they actually shut down elimination and put all the power to the muscles so you can fight or flight. And then when you relax, other neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine come in and help you to eliminate. So then everything backs on one side, and then the elimination of the acids you created when you were in the stressful situation can be eliminated. So when you understand how that works, then it helps you understand why stress is acidic. Now, every cell has to have a way to communicate to the brain. The brain, the autonomic, the central nervous system, the endocrine glands, these are your communication networks. These are your hormones and steroids. That's how everything is, how the muscles know what to do, how everything knows what to do comes from the endocrine glands, which are tied right into the nervous systems. And of course, the brain is the hard drive. So the claim is that your brain knows what 100 trillion cells are doing and can simultaneously communicate with them. I don't know that that's true, but it's certainly an unbelievable system of communication. This communication is done through electrical frequencies. We call them neurotransmitters and the like, but electrical frequencies send out, and when you understand how life is made, when you look at the atom and you look at this, and you got to get into quantum physics sometimes to understand this, but if we reverse this and we said, okay, from a mundane point of view, from a chemist's point of view, creation is nothing but chemistry. To a physicist, however, creation is nothing but frequencies of electromagnetic energy. Hence the Wright machine and a lot of other things were created. Lithotripsy was created to destroy. And then you have the death ray. I mean, Jesse Ventura featured this death ray that's out there that the government has, and frequencies that destroy. And I mean, they're already experimenting with frequencies that'll disarm a whole army on the battlefield just from frequencies. So when you understand that light and sound make up all creation in frequencies, and that is color, form, consciousness, awareness, all these things are dictated through these levels of frequencies. In spirituality, we call it states of consciousness, where pure energy is consciousness. And then as it moves in creation, it isolates, becomes individualized, and then becomes broken down into different frequencies, just like your bodies are. It's easy to understand it if you understand a little chemistry and a little physics. Then, of course, these frequencies can create chemistry. So this whole network called the nervous system is vital to understanding iridology, because the optic nerve communicates with the central and the autonomic nervous systems. So we not only see things from outside, it reflects things from inside. It's that simple. And so with iridology, we can see virtually every cell in your body. We can see your liver. We can see your heart. We can see your lungs. We can see your kidney. Oh, absolutely. We'll show them that chart, those charts, to help them to understand that. Of course, you can Google it, of course, and most of you probably have these charts by now anyway. But for those of you that are new, this is an incredible tool that you can use to see two vital things. Your lymphatic system, which is your tumors, which is your inflammation, which is your cysts, which is your acne, which is all this, all your pain, all your swelling, everything is the lymph system in that regard. That's your acidosis. You can see chemical deposits to a certain extent. The cells, the condition and health of cells. So I'm going to show you here in just a minute how that looks in the eye, how we determine these in the eye, and it'll help you to look at your eye and determine this. And keep this simple, because a great simple science that every household in the world can use. You know, truth is universal, and everyone should be able to understand and use these tools in a very simplistic manner. So just understand this is the eyes are just a monitor of the hard drive. Just like you have a monitor in a computer, monitoring the hard drive, the central nervous system. And then you've got communication pathways, frequencies of color, frequencies of weaknesses, the whole 9 yards. So let me take a minute. I'm going to come around there and I'm going to show you how we see these in the eye, and hope this is helpful, and then we'll start going over some of your eyes. So hang tight. Let's show them maybe this chart first. This is a universally accepted chart, Dr. Jensen's chart. I love this. And, of course, everything works in real time, basically. And in German iridology, the claim is that eyes do not change colors. Now, it's important to understand that there are 4 stages of dis-ease. 4 stages. The first stage is called acute. The second stage is called subacute. The third stage is chronic. And the fourth stage is degenerative. All life moves within these stages. An acute stage is when you've just created this by drinking milk or ice cream, and you get a sinus infection, or you get stopped up. That you just created a acute condition. When this mucus from all this dairy products come back out of you, if you do it in a timely manner, it's generally clear to white. As this congestion builds from the body's immune response to these foreign proteins, and milk is a foreign protein to the human body, particularly after age 2, and particularly when it's another animal's milk. So the longer it stays in your body, it starts to turn yellow. This is subacute, and it'll actually turn some people's eyes yellow, and I'm going to show you one of these. And then chronic many times turns the eye brown. So here you've got an individual with a blue eye that can become yellow, hazel, or brown. These are the steps. When there is degenerative issues in the body, it actually punches a hole right in the fibers. And it makes a hole in the eye, and black is the color that you see. Now let's show them these. This is the chart I like. This is from New Zealand. I thought this naturopath did a beautiful job with these. Really helps you to see. Stand still, little one. There you go. Okay, so now let me show you a couple things. Let me show you two eyes here. I've shown you before on a video, but I want to do it one more time to show you how you see the lymphatic system. And I want to show you two eyes here, side by side. Can we do that, Drew, you think? Mm-hmm. Now, this is one of the better eyes that I have here in my office. And this is from a strong constitution person. That simply means that this person has strong genes. They have very little cellular weaknesses, and they're more like George Burns. And I use that because he lived to be 100. These people can drink Coke every day of their lives and everything else and still friggin' live. I don't know, I get drunk every weekend, and I don't know how they do it. It's just that strength is amazing. And to understand that, you understand, look at the eye like a wagon wheel or a wow wheel on a sports car. You got a hub right here called the pupil, and then you have little spokes, little fibers radiating out of that, which underneath is called rods and cones. And this is a whole network of muscle fiber, nerve fiber, all of that. Now, notice the difference between this eye over here. Notice that you almost can't see the fibers in this eye because it is chronically white. Notice this thick white substance all in this eye. All right, so this individual does not do dairy products. They do have some white building up in the body, but this person is fairly much dairy-free most of their lives, as opposed to this person who is a dairy farmer from Upper New York and also owns an ice cream manufacturing business. So he eats ice cream and he drinks milk. And look how thick this lymph is. This is the lymph system. The lymphatic system sits on top of these fibers. And you will see that this is like having a beautiful blue sky out there, and then clouds start forming, and so pretty soon you can't see the sky anymore. That's exactly what that is. Now let me show you what an acute case of that would be. Now, notice the yellow. This yellow is subacute stages. All these deposits you see like clouds hanging on top of clouds, these are drug deposits, and I don't have a clue to what kind of drug this person has been taking. All this heavy orange you see around the pupil is sulfur. And that's from the use of antibiotics. Whenever you see heavy lymphatic systems, you can just about plan on they've had mumps, measles, colds, flus, they've had all kinds of arthritises, all kinds of things, or something thereof that they took antibiotics for, lupus, Lyme's, all kinds of stuff. This is a very toxic sewer system. That's simple. If you think of the lymph system as a sewer system. Now, when we talk about chronic, let me show you what happens in a chronic case. Notice that white went to yellow and then went to this brown. See this thick brown around? But see how it's on top? See the blue underneath? Let me show you another blue eye that's almost totally brown. And you can still see the blue underneath. But how this is a cloud on top of the eye. And here we got where it should be. And here we have stages of getting into chronic lymphatic problems. Just for your own sake, let's look at a true brown eye. There's a true brown eye. There's no blue in a brown eye because the eye is brown. There's light brown though. Notice, see these rings in this eye? These are called nerve rings. And under that nerve ring is the true color of this eye, and it is light brown. So the darker browns are their chronic or one of these stages levels. And the thickness of this lymph can be seen from this nerve ring that cuts down through there. Now here's another white one. This time is a classic milk drinker. Look at that one. Now, mucus, mucus equals congestion, equals swelling, equals tumors, equals acids. You can go on. And notice this brown ring around this pupil. That's a malabsorption ring, and it's major. This person is not absorbing. They'll already be thin, and then when you get them to work on it, because they're full of acids, big-time acids, they're going to get thinner and then bitch about it. And it's just that they're malabsorbed majorly. Now, the problem with this eye is you're not going to turn this lymphatic system around in a few months. You're going to be a couple of years digging into this system. This is a mess, and this is real thick. So you can see that the clouds. Now notice this differentiated area outside around the pupil here. That's the stomach and bowel area. Around all the pupils are the stomach, and then around the stomach is the small and large bowels. And just for a heads up, let me show you. I want to show you some cholesterol plaquing, which is, while we're doing this, just to show you this thick white ring around an eye. This is cholesterol plaquing. Now look at this strong constitution. Yeah, definitely malabsorbed though, and around the stomach you see thick lymph. Now just for the sake of it, here's another cholesterol one right here. When you start to see this white film, you generally see cataracts. They've already had cataract surgery. This is a cholesterol ring, and you'll see that when the body becomes acidic and the adrenals are down. Now, to show you one more. What color of eye would you guys think this one is? If you said brown, you were wrong. This is a blue eye. It looks hazel. This is almost a reddish orange color, probably a lot of antibiotics. But notice this eye in particular to this one. Notice the nice straight fibers on this one. But look at all these patterns. These patterns are called lacunas, crypts when they're deep. I call them lesions. You can call them patterns in the eye if you want, fiber patterns. Who cares what you call them? But you see so many. So let me show you the difference between a client of this caliber and a client of this caliber. This is a 96-year-old female, a 90-some-year-old female. All right? Not much problems, few little things here, little kidney going on, a few little things, little light inflammatory things, easy to correct. This individual at age 30 woke up to cervical cancer, had a hysterectomy. At age 32, she woke up to thyroid cancer, had a thyroidectomy, and at age 34 came to me with pancreatic cancer. And this took me, she had quit digesting everything. She ate an apple, she passed an apple. And the pancreas was in a state of decay. It was more of a degenerative cancer. And it took me 11 months to get this girl back into a state of wellness. And I had to pull out all the stops. I mean, this was totally fruit juices at first. I mean, there was no digestion. So I had to work this case. And thank God for the herbs when you have a case at this level. Now, the daughter was 15 at the time. I took a picture of her eyes, and they were almost an exact match. I sat her down, and I told her that she was in trouble. Look at Mom, 3 cancers, right? So she, just like most young people, didn't think much about it. Age 20, daughter, cervical cancer, walking down the same road. And just one more to show you, one not so bad, but we're still looking at these little levels right here, these little patterns here, crypts, lacunas, whatever you wish to call them. Now notice that you'll see some white around some of these. And this is what Dr. Jensen was saying. In these weaker areas, these genetic areas, blood and lymph are compromised. And I've always said I can't speak to the blood, but you can definitely see the lymph system here, and that the lymph system is not moving well around these patterns, meaning that these areas are just getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and then of course in genetics we keep passing them. And I'll note these little white dots. See these little white dots? These are lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes are all around the outer, toward the outer skin. This person has almost a lymphatic rosary here. And then you will see this thick white in the wall of the bowel here. Now, this is the perfect stomach ring to show you. The stomach is in a perfect circle around the pupil. You shouldn't even know that. You shouldn't even see that. But when the stomach is over acidic or starting to burn up, you'll start to see a haze, and then it'll get darker and darker. When you see little black areas emanating out of the pupil in this area, they're getting some ulcerated or degenerative tissue in the stomach. But all this says that their lymph system is backed up in the bowel wall, and you see a little brown ring around that pupil showing malabsorption. So that just gives you a heads up to what we're going to be looking at when we look at everybody's eyes here.